Welcome to Araka Media, defending freedom and human rights. This is Editorial Opinion. I am Z with Araka Media. I am with Z, Dane Tunzan of Araka Media. My apologies. I have a couple of questions to start with in this editorial opinion interview with you.
Sure.
To begin with, how is the situation in Myanmar or Burma as of now in general?
Well, the situation in Burma is very grim and very, very dangerous as of now, as both sides, the military and the PDF, people are resolved to violence. And one side just clearly it's been killing civilians long time ago, and always the Myanmar military is always killing people. But now the PDF and the anti-coup people also has to resort to violence, and sometimes they claim it's for defending, but quite a bit of their targets involve civilians, including monks and people that it seems like very dangerous for regular people, the citizens of Burma. And for now, an economy is going down very fast rate, that the value of jet is going down into drain. So lately it's going like dollars against jet is doubling every day. It's starting like a $1 is now almost 2,000 Myanmar jets. It was around, I think, 1,400 for $1 before the coup. And then the whole situation is worsens, and a lot of people, all the citizens are living in fear of death and starvation. Thank you.
Yes, of course. It seems inflammation of the money has definitely become a very big problem. And my next question for you, Mr. Deng Chongzhen, is what do you think about the so-called goodwill ceasefire with the ethnic armed groups, or EAOs, declared by the Myanmar Army, or Tamado, this week?
Yeah, it is not unusual that the Myanmar Army will declare one-sided unilateral ceasefire as they need to divide and rule kind of things, that they always try to do ceasefire on one group while fighting to other groups. So in this case, they have some sort of ceasefire going on with some armed groups involving, including the Kachins and the Afghan army and so on, a while ago, since the, I think, January sort of this year. And then now they're extending this ceasefire towards all the ethnic armed group, it says. And then they are claiming it's for the upcoming, the 75th anniversary of founding of the so-called Union of Burma, which falls on February 12, 2022. So they said like until to that date, the February of 2022, they will have the ceasefires, but it's limited. The condition is that that ceasefire is only applied to area and time that they are not involved being, against their operations and base, that Myanmar military operations and movements as long as their movements and operations are not, fought against, they will cease fire. Just a little funny thing too in that case. The fact that they did was they are now facing the so-called PDF, the People Defense Forces, fighting back this military junta, the regimes, since a few months back. And they started with the rudimentary weapons in very informal way. But now it seems that the forces is stronger and the deadliness is bigger. And then they started to fight, the government in an effective way. And then the government forces is seeing the death and the losses everywhere.
So you mentioned the People Defense Force, the PDF, yes?
Yes, the PDF is gaining, the strength, and then seems that they have better weapons now, and then they have a better will to fight, and then they are targeting the government forces as well as some they call the land, which is the spies or supporter of the military regimes. That sometimes it's very controversial, but they do seems to targeting those people and killing the civilians, including monks sometimes, and for supporting or sided with the military regimes. But anyway, the military regimes now is facing the intense fight, and then they expect that it's going to be intensifying soon, so that they try to stop the EAO from actively fighting their forces, so that they start like throwing these unilateral ceasefires. That okay, let's stop the fight until like February of next year, and then they give that reason, something like, for the sake of a 75th anniversary of founding of the union, a fake union, in a matter of fact. As a matter of fact. Yeah, thanks.
Of course. So just to confirm, you would say that the PDF is making significant progress in terms of growth?
It seems that as the NUG, the National Unity Government, the shadow government formed around the wall, and then they have seems like some support from some countries like US and Europe, not officially supporting, but they got some funding somewhere, and then maybe they are flowing into PDF somewhat, and also the PDF itself is growing, I think.
Right. Okay. So moving on from that, what is the UN position on the Myanmar ambassador of the UN, and who did the UN choose to begin with?
Yeah, it was on September the 14th that they were supposed to choose the representative from Burma, and then both sides, the NUG, the National Unity Government, and the military, of course, is proposing their people, and they all happen to be two. One from NUG called U Chomoton, and the other from the military is a Lieutenant Colonel guy from their military was sent. And then the UN so far did not pick anybody. And then they said they're delaying the decision to picking that representative from Burma until November. And the news said that the China and Russia agreed to postponing of choosing the ambassador until November, and they technically let the former UN ambassador, I mean the incumbent, who is John Moton, that NLD government appointed, is still in positions until November, but he will not be allowed to speak in UN. So it's like they play around it, so that the UN positions in Burma is very vague now. So they can't have a clear position of who they are siding and supporting with, because I think mainly because I think China and Russia are supporting the military somewhat at least, and then the West and the probably the other countries are sided with NUG, I think.
Okay, so you said the Russia and China specifically are somewhat siding with the military junta. However, why do you think they aren't clearly stating their support for the military?
Yeah, it is also interesting, and then we can learn something from it too, because China actually has supported and sided with the military, and then people even argue that, and have a hypothesis that China is behind even the coup itself. But now they started to kind of cautious of siding with the military clearly and like officially or somewhat like at the front. So they started to like play both sides. So what we can see now is China is playing with all sides, so that maybe because they saw that since February until now, about 7 months, that the Min Aung Hlaing's led Myanmar military really cannot rule the country effectively. Probably like as they thought before, that they maybe handle like more effectively or with better grips, and maybe the country can be controlled in a few months. But it seems that the public, the general public, the people of Burma is really against these military regime this times. And as we see, even the armed struggle, the fighting back of military is even intensifying in coming months, so that the China now thinks that the will of people, the people of Burma, is very much against the military, and it is likely that somewhat NLD will control again in the future if they have these elections that they are talking coming in 2023 August, so that the China cautiously playing, not supporting the military with all out, so that they were kind of backing, but still playing in the background that, so they teamed well. So they let Ujo Motron still be the ambassador of UN until November. And then they will see, I think they'll kind of wait and see and what to play into, I think.
I see. So now that we've touched base on more of the larger political situation, I think I would like to ask, what is the status of the current citizens of Myanmar? How are they doing right now?
The citizens of Myanmar are facing really grim situations. As we, as I talked about in the beginning,
yes,
they are facing all kinds of problems and troubles and dangers, like from all sides. They are facing the threats from the military, and then also they were facing somewhat of the threats from these unresistant against the military, because a lot of people can be, suspected of not supporting either side clearly, and then both sides can target any citizen now that it could come, very deathly, kind of dangerous. So there are people that being stabbed and being shot at, and then, so mob kind of justice is going on sometimes. So it's very scary. And also the economy is collapsing like in a very fast pace. So people might even go into the starvations and, famine type of problem with these COVID-19s looming around them still. and then the vaccinations are also very limited. So everything like they're facing now is very, and the schools are closed for how long already? So that all the kids, have no opportunities of any kind. And then so I think a lot of people in Burma, if a general public, it's just relying on mostly the family members outside Burma that who were supporting back to Burma, working abroad. And other than that, if there are no family members outside Burma working and supporting them, people can hardly make a living in Burma now, and then they're facing very grim, problems that in hand is very dangerous for them.
I see. So now my last question for you before I ask for any of your comments is, do you think there can be a possible solution to freedom of Myanmar people, including the non-Burman nationalities?
Yeah, it is. It is a very tough question to answer to anybody right now, I think, because this problems and crisis in Burma has been going like about almost 70 years, and it's just rotating after and after. About every 20 or 30 years that this coup situation came back, and then the country would go down into a free fall situation like this. So it is, as we see, the UN cannot do much anyway, except, very minimal kind of involvement. And then China and Russia and ASEAN, the 10 Southeast Asian country also involving. And then looking at us, it's like the Burma is surrounded by the countries that including Thailand. It's not really democratic countries. The Thailand also ruled by a government that was started with the coup, and also the Cambodia next to it, and then also Vietnam is somehow the communist country, and it's everything there is like very not sporting, and to have a real good solutions for Burma, every side has to really open, have an open-minded and have to compromise to become having a possible solution from these situations. And I think that includes every side, the military, the NUG, and the maybe all these ethnic revolutionary people and so on.
In that case, before we end this interview session, do you have any comments, concerns, anything else that you would like to say or point out?
All I want to say now is like for the citizens of Burma, it has to hang on, and then just have to keep the hope of freedom alive in any case, and the international communities to keep working on it with very open mind. And yeah, that's pretty much we can say now.
I see. Thank you very much for joining me today for this editorial opinion on Myanmar's current status.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and thank you for the Arca Media interviewing. Thanks.
Of course. This is Z from Arca Media, and this is the editorial opinion.
Thank you.